Well, hello, we are back. Remember how a couple weeks ago there was a video telling you guys about the direct forgiveness portal? Well, somebody took me up on my offer and they said, hey, Hannah, let's walk through my PPP forgiveness application in the forgiveness portal. So we are going to jump into that. We have a business owner that has volunteered his information. We're going to blur out anything so there's no sensitive stuff being shared on the interwebs. But we are going to walk through that today, and he's been very generous. So we are going to do a screenshot. Now, before we get into it, I will say that we made sure that his loan was able to be, like, he was able to use the direct forgiveness portal. So we had him register, and I'll walk through that really quick. We're not going to be able to register everything, but I'll kind of show you where you need to go. So he was able to register, and then he went ahead and put in his EIN or social security number and his loan amount, and then he was told that he could use the portal. That means that his lender has opted into using the portal, okay? So we're just gonna, why wait? We're going to get into it and step through the steps, and let us know if you have any questions in the comments section below, and we will try to answer those. Remember, within the first 24 hours of the video, as much as we possibly can. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel and this stuff is helpful for you, please go ahead and do so now, and we will get into the walkthrough. Here we go. Okay, so to get started with the PPP Direct Forgiveness Portal, you're first going to go to directforgiveness.sba.gov. And then when you get there, you're going to see this screen. So in order to get started, if you haven't already set up a username and password, you're going to need to register. And so you will end up registering, you will sign up with, you will create a username, put your email in, and this will be the email that you're going to get any notifications to, so make sure it is an email you use on the regular basis. And then you will put in a password. Now, this has to be a 12-character password, and it does need to be fairly complex, so be just aware of that. It will reject it if it's not, and then you will do your CAPTCHA and sign up. Now, I have already actually signed up for an account, so in order to show you guys that, I'm going to go to the login option. And so we're going to go to I'm going to put in my username, and then I'm going to go to sign in. And then there's this two-factor authentication. So this is something that everybody will need to go through the process of. And then you will get a text message when you go through the registration process. It will text you a code. And then once you're verified, and I do want to just preface this because I've actually I've gone through this process of trying to verify a number of times, and this is not super smooth. So there's something going on with their system where it's not a perfect verification process. So you might have to try it one or two times. If you do, just know that that's kind of normal. I was running into the same problems myself. And so at this point, this is where now you have an account. And if you are in a situation where you have multiple PPP loans, or you may be doing this and helping somebody else, you can do a number of different requests through the same portal. So you can start a new forgiveness request, and this is where you put in your social security number or your employee identification number or your tax ID number. You will type it in here, and then your PPP loan amount, and then it'll ask you to find your loan. Now, I'm not going to type anything in here because the person, Mike, we're walking through his loan today, he's already gone through this process, and he was eligible to be able to use the portal for his loan request. So because of that, we're just going to go straight into his loan details, and that's where we're going to pick up with the screen share. All right, so if this does give you any kind of indication that they cannot find your loan, then you need to contact the lender directly. That might mean that your lender is not opted into the portal. Let's go ahead and jump in directly to Mike's loan. All right. Well, this is what you will see once you click on your loan details. So once you've added your loan, you will click on it and it will show you the loan details. And so a lot of this has been pre-populated based on the original application that you put in. So you actually don't have to refill in most of this stuff. Now, remember, if you see an error here, this is a good time to just back out of the system and go and talk to your lender, because if there's any errors that you need to fix, you cannot fix most of these sections, okay? Now you will need to put in your title, and you'll need to make sure that everything is filled out if you do have the option to, and then we will move, this is just the basic loan details above, and then we're gonna move specifically into the loan details. All right, so we are on the covered period page right now, or I guess this is all of the loan details that we have. And so up at the top, we talk about the actual loan details, the name of the company, the name of the loan numbers and whatnot. And then this is where on this loan, this second section, this is where we put this, whether or not it's a first draw loan, this is all auto-populated for you, as well as your PPP loan disbursement date. So the only thing we really have to do is to edit this covered period. So if you want to choose 8 weeks, 24 weeks, or somewhere in between, you can go ahead and click on that. This is where we are going to, actually, let's just go ahead and say pick your date, because you can do it sometime in between. And let's go ahead and make that covered period end date the date of today. So August 31st is the date this is being recorded. Awesome. Okay. And then you are a sole proprietor, correct? With no employees?
Correct.
All right, great. So what we put there for just underneath that is employees at the time of the loan application will be 1. And then employees at the time of forgiveness request will be 1. All right. And then really what we have to do, and we've already discussed this, that we have already discussed that the business owner has used the money for the appropriate thing and paid himself. We have also already discussed the fact that he got the loan based on his line 7 of his Schedule C, which was over 100,000. And so he was due the maximum amount of the PPP loan. Now, so what I have been seeing a number of times is where banks actually give you $1 less or a couple cents less than the true maximum. So in this case, that's what happened. The maximum was $20,833.33, but in this case, it's $20,832, and that's totally fine. Because we know how he spent the money, and it was 100% on payroll costs. In that section, amount loan spent on payroll costs, you can go ahead and type in $20,832. Yeah. And then that will be our requested loan forgiveness amount, because we know that it was spent correctly and that it's all been spent by the time we're ready to go and apply. Real quick, just to cover the covered period, if you can scroll up for a second and see when the beginning of the covered period is. So 5, this would basically mean that we are over 11-week minimum to get the maximum amount. Let's see here. How many weeks are we at? We're basically just over 13 weeks here. So our covered period is long enough. All the money has been spent. So we're going to go ahead and just put in the requested loan forgiveness amount there. So that is great. Now let's go ahead and scroll down and see if there's anything else they need from us. That should be basically it. All of the demographic details are optional. You do not have to fill this out if you don't want to. And it looks like we're towards the end of the page. So let's go ahead and do next. All right, so this is nice because no documentation is required. Now in this situation, the borrower, this is a first draw loan. So when you go and this is a loan that's also under $150,000, no documentation is required when going and submitting for forgiveness. However, remember that you still need to maintain your documentation on your side because if you get audited down the road, you need to make sure that you're retaining everything that you need. So I have lots of other videos specifically around documentation and documentation requirements, but right here, it's telling you no documentation is required, and that's great. And then I just want to read this note. It says, as a result of your COVID revenue reduction score and or the characteristics of your request, the SBA has determined that no documentation is required. So in this situation, no documentation is required because of the fact that it's a first draw loan. Okay. Let's see. So let's go ahead and continue to the next step. Yep. So at this point, we now have the summary of the forgiveness request. There are no errors, and we are ready to submit and sign this electronically. So you also have the option here to withdraw your request. So if at any point in time you decide this is not right, or you're noticing that the information that the system has that's grayed out is incorrect, you might need to withdraw your request, okay? Or maybe if errors have occurred, something like that, you can withdraw the request at any point in time. So just keep that in mind if there's, that's kind of your out if you need it. All right. Yeah. But in this situation, you can go ahead and click submit and continue to electronic signature if you're ready to. Okay, so once you click the submit, this will take you to a DocuSign, and this is actually where it'll take the inputs that you put into the portal, and it will basically populate a 3508S form for you. So at this point, what you need to do is go ahead and fill out the DocuSign. You will initial on the certifications, and then you will click fill and sign for your signature. And you will just step through the steps here in the DocuSign. And then once you're done with that, you will click the finish button, and then you will be submitted. Well, again, thank you, Mike, so much for volunteering your information and stepping through this and being open and willing to share this type of information with other small business owners. This type of direct help, it has to be applicable for so many other business owners. So we really appreciate you taking the time to do this and and just sharing with other small business owners so they can learn and do this for themselves. All right, well, if you guys need any additional help, so if this was helpful, but you're like, hey, I don't even know how much to request for my forgiveness, please make sure to check out my courses that I have done. So they're mini courses. They're basically a webinar with some additional stuff. I've created calculators for you guys, and I've created resources so that you can go and get all the answers to your PPP forgiveness questions. I have those available for loans under $50,000 and then loans between $50,000 and $150,000. And I'll make sure that those are put in the, those links are put in the comment section below. All right. Well, thank you again, Mike. So nice to talk to you today, and we'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Bye.